All right, tubes, got something pretty interesting here for you today. We're doing something a little bit different here, trying something a little new. And so what I'm going to be trying to do here is I'm just going to try and talk for a little while about turbo Miatas and just try and get a lot of information out there as much as I can, and try to edit it into a coherent, logical order, and that way you guys can get some information and also learn what I'm going to be doing here. So here's the deal. When you're running a turbo Miata or even a supercharged Miata, anytime you're going to do forced induction, you need to have some kind of engine management. And what your engine management is going to take care of is your fueling and your timing. There's basically two options you have. You can either run a standalone ECU, or you can run what are called band-aids. And so what a standalone ECU does is it just replaces your stock ECU altogether. So you take out the stock ECU, you unplug it, unbolt it, and everything, and you plug in this new ECU. The new ECU allows you to do is take full control of your engine. So you can adjust timing, you can adjust fueling, every single engine parameter you can think of. Now they're fairly priced in my opinion. You can pick up one of them probably for about $500 or so. The advantage to that is that you can pretty much run as much power as your stock block can handle, because what you do is you throw in a larger set of injectors. The standalone ECU will be able to control those injectors, because that's one important point. With the stock ECU, you can't really run larger injectors. If you're in a 1.6 Miata, you can probably get away with injectors out of a 1.8, but beyond that, you really can't. You got to stick with the stock sized injectors. So that's one of the biggest advantages of the standalone ECU. Now another option you have, which is a little bit on the cheaper side, probably not as reliable though, and a lot of people look down on it, are the band-aids. What that is, you retain your stock ECU, you handle your timing and your fuel control with the stock ECU, but with the help of these band-aids. And so there's two main aspects to those. What your fuel control uses is something called an FMU, sometimes you see them called an AFPR. And what that stands for is fuel management unit and auxiliary fuel pressure regulator. And so long story short, the way they work is they go after your stock fuel pressure regulator. And so what that stock fuel pressure regulator is doing is letting fuel go back into the gas tank. Whatever fuel isn't used by the injectors just goes back. So what your aftermarket, your auxiliary fuel pressure regulator will do is they'll go after the stock regulator, and when you're in boost, it'll actually prevent some of that fuel going back. And so the effect of that is that it raises the fuel pressure in your injectors, and that means that they're going to flow more fuel. Now there's a limit to that, because you can only go so high with your pressure for a couple of reasons. Basically what it comes down to is that's how fuel is managed with the stock ECU. You run the FMU, it increases the fuel pressure in your fuel system, and that way you can flow more fuel when you're in boost and maintain a good mixture. Now for timing, you have a couple options. The easiest and obviously the cheapest method is just to retard your base timing. So on the Miatas, your timing's set by the cam angle sensor. You rotate that, and so one of your options to maintain a safe timing when you're in boost is just to change your base timing. So what you do is you just retard the timing by turning the cam angle sensor, and then that'll keep you at a safe level. Now the problem with that is it's going to make your engine safe in boost, but it's also going to mean that you're going to lose power throughout your power band, because ideally you want your timing to be at a specific point, and if you're not at that ideal point, it's going to be, you're going to have less power, and that's, of course, not necessarily a good thing. And so another option is to run either this MSD box that they make, or something called a BIPES ACU. And what both of these things do is when you're in boost, they'll dynamically retard the timing to a certain point. So you can leave your base timing at a good good spot, and then this device will sense boost and then add it or remove timing as necessary. So now on to my build, my turbo build. I've been getting together parts. I didn't want to start the series before I had enough parts to make consistent videos, but now I do. And so here's the deal. First of all, I am not going to be running a standalone ECU. I am going to go with Band-Aids, and the reason for that is primarily money. I have better things to spend my money on than a standalone ECU. So what I'm going to be running is a Bipes ACU and Bell Engineering fully adjustable fuel pressure, auxiliary fuel pressure regulator. For the time being, I'm going to set my boost goals and power goals relatively low at about 180 horsepower. I'm expecting to get that between, I'm expecting to reach that power level probably between 6 and 8 pounds of boost. And the reason I'm setting my goals low is because I want to run the stock clutch right now. I don't want to buy a new clutch and go through the process of replacing that when this clutch I have now is great. Doesn't slip at all. It's fine. It's only got 90,000 miles on it. So I don't want to replace this clutch right now. So I'm going to maintain this. I'm going to run the stock clutch, which means I can only go to about 180 horsepower, which means I can only run about 6 to 8 pounds. Now the advantage there is I can actually also get away with not running an intercooler. I just got to watch my timing, make sure I run the timing a little bit on the conservative side, just to be safe. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. So stay tuned for the videos. Again, this video was probably kind of boring, just watching me drive and ramble on about turbo stuff. But again, I just wanted to kind of, put some stuff out there so everybody knows what's going on. And today's actually Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody. But probably tomorrow is when I'm going to go ahead and start working on this thing, and so there'll be some videos with some serious substance to them. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a blast. Thanks for watching, tubes.